My apologies to everyone. It is 5:02, so I will call our committee of the whole meeting of August 18th, 2025 to order at 5:02 p.m. And we have one item on the agenda, but we need approval of the agenda by consensus. Is there anyone objects to the agenda? All right. And we have item 3, the meeting notes from May 26, 2025, committee of the whole meeting. Any comments on the notes from anyone? All right. Thank you. So item 4, the committee of the whole business is COUN 001-25 Council Remuneration and Professional Development Policy. And we had this at a couple meetings back in, it says on my agenda sheet, I'm sure. Amanda, what was the meeting that we had sent this? Was it July 8th?
July 8th.
We sent this here? Yeah. All right, so it came from July 8th, and there were everybody was asked to submit any revisions that they had that they'd like to see. And we got 2 sets of revisions and 1 of comments, or suggested revisions, and 1 of comments on the current revisions. So I believe I'm going to start with Councillor, we'll go around the table because we have 3 documents to go through, and I think what I'll do is go around the table and each person can speak to their document, and then we'll start picking away at what and what not we like and don't like. So I think because Councillor Windsor is on that committee, and I think he missed the meetings for that committee, and he was the vocal one at the meeting that created, or not created, but prompted us to have this meeting because it was going to take longer than what an RCM could manage. So I'll let you start with your comments, Councillor Windsor, and then I'll go to Dorothy, and then I'll go to mine.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Hunter. I guess out of one clarification, do you want me to go through each of my points, or do you want? Because essentially, council's had these points now for whatever number of days and have had the opportunity to look at it. So, but I'm quite willing to go through point by point if you would like me to do that.
Well, I think we set aside the time for that purpose.
Okay.
So you could put your rationale forward, and then we'll go through the sections and see which ones people want to.
So in item 2.2, it talks about duties and additional duties as opposed to regular duties. And I think that there needs to be maybe I would make a suggestion that one of those be changed to assignments instead of duties, simply because to eliminate any confusion as to whether they're a regular duty or not. Regular duties are identified in the MGA. The budget meetings, reviewing and approving an operating and capital budget every year is a regular duty of council. The MGA says so. And so I believe that should be part of the honorarium, that there's no reason to have that as anything extra, simply because it is a regular duty of council. As far as council workshops is concerned, I didn't know whether or not this was supposed to include strategic planning, because strategic planning is also a regular duty of council, according to anything. So I think that should be part of the regular duties of council. And obviously covered then by the honorarium and not by additional charges. Meeting attendance in events instead of the mayor, and I struggle with the definition of instead of, in the stead of, and so I wondered if there wouldn't be a possibility of coming up with a different term for that, so that would be a little bit clearer and maybe not up to interpretation. And as far as the step up or top up, for sitting in place of the mayor. I would like to revert back to the 5305 top-up for per instance where there is a time when a councillor is sitting either in place of the mayor or representing council when the mayor wasn't able to attend. As for the PAP, the professional development, is that my next note? But I wondered what happened to the 4.5 in the previous version of the policy. In the previous version, we were encouraging alternate assignments to attend meetings so that they were aware of what's going on in the different committees or boards. And it's been removed, and so I would suggest that that be reinstated. I think it's important that the alternates become familiar with what's going on in the boards and in those assignments, and that they should be aware of what's going on, so when they have to act, if they do have to act, that they're doing so intelligently. I think that their per diem compensation for professional development opportunities should be set as a subset of 4.1, and it should be the PDO enrollments. Under the communication allowance, reimbursed for personal phone, my question, or the internet and cellular data, and my question to that is, does that mean then that, first of all, that the phones are expected to be used for council business, and secondly, does it make them foipable? And that would be a concern, because then it goes far further than just what is council business. Under travel and subsistence, it talks about traveling on town business, meals may be claimed, and it doesn't mention anything about parking, and what about other incidentals that may be incurred. Same as about 6.2, the claims, again the meals, but it doesn't talk about parking or other incidentals. 6.3 says that no expenses for meals paid for other persons, and again it doesn't talk about parking or other incidentals. It states that the maximum gratuity rate shall be 20% of the actual, but there's nothing saying a councillor can't award more than 20%. It should just say that you're not eligible to claim more than 20%. If I choose to award 25%, that's up to me, and that shouldn't be dictated as to the maximum that you can do, certainly for the eligible reimbursement. In 6.6 it talks about unless otherwise requested by the CAO officer. The CAO doesn't request exactly from their staff. He directs his staff to do things. And so I would say that should be altered to reflect that. Under professional development, I'm wondering what happened to requiring the approval of PDOs not on the PDO list by administration. And it's not there anymore, and I wondered what happened to that. Under 7.2, there is a subsistence including meals, room, and board, and again, parking and other incidentals aren't included in that. And Alberta Muni's events were listed in the previous version of this policy, and I'm wondering why they're not listed in this version. Compensation for full day per diem rate for attendance at PDO from the date that the PDO commences to the date on which it concludes. And some of the PDOs don't start until the beginning don't start at the beginning of the day. They might not start till noon. They certainly, some of them, end before the end of the day. And so I think that there needs to be provisions written in, and I've made a suggestion, but written in to address those inconsistencies with what is currently being proposed. For example of that, the Alberta Muni's fall conference, RMA conference, end at noon of the final day, and so it's only a part day. On 7.5, must be submitted to council for consideration and approval. The wording here suggests that approval of council is automatic, and I don't think it is automatic. The request also has to be submitted prior to the event, otherwise emotions come into play. I think that that's really important that it be submitted prior to the event. I realize that there are emergent situations where that may not be possible, and there needs to be a provision built into the policy so that can be taken care of. I'm not sure, it doesn't state in this revision as to whether it's clear or not, change of addresses need to be approved from council. If a councillor has exceeded their professional development budget, I'm wondering how it's possible, that this can happen, first of all. Instead, this clause should be identifying how to prevent it. It shouldn't be telling you what to do after it happens. It should be somehow identifying what their provisions are to make sure it doesn't happen. This takes us back to 7.4, where approval of councils is not required, and approval of council should have been required. Policy should not be in place to penalize, but rather assist in managing the PDOs and professional development opportunities. We may need to have a clause requiring each councillor to submit a professional development opportunity plan at the beginning of the year so that it can be budgeted for and can be tracked appropriately. Shall provide a written, 7.7 says it shall provide a written report to council on all PDOs prior to submitting an expense claim, and my question is why? This policy already indicates in 7.4 that PDO choices don't require approval of council, that PDOs are individual council choices to enhance their individual council skills, and no policy can provide sufficient direction to require or garner meaningful reports. So I'm suggesting that this clause be removed completely. 7.8 shall not carry over into the following year, but shall remain the surplus of the current year. And I guess my question is, isn't it automatic that unspent professional development opportunity budgets will become part of the surplus of the current year? And I believe that's the case currently. And I don't see that we need to have the shall not carry over the following year at all. It doesn't need to be there. Under section 8, the submission and approval of council remuneration forms. I guess I'm wondering if this policy is suggesting that there is no approval process for expense claims. And I'm wondering what happened to clause 6.9 and 6.91 from the previous version of this policy. The way this policy is written, it indicates that claims depend entirely on individual integrity, which has proven to be a problem based on the discrepancies that have occurred in the past. Under 8.3, it talks about minor adjustments or corrections of council members being submitted in their expense claim. And if administration is empowered to make minor adjustments, how can it be complete upon submission? It can't be complete upon submission. Where is the requirement for council to communicate back changes to the claimant? That there's no provision here that says you've got to talk back to the claimant if you're going to make a change. And is this saying that administration or administrator is approving the claim of their boss's boss? 8.5 talks about any dispute or suitability may be presented to council for the consideration and approval. Again, suggests that it's automatic and not at the discretion of council, and I would suggest a minor change there. 8.6, the third day of the month may be processed, and I'm not sure what exactly this is saying. Is it saying that it may not be processed the next month, it may be processed at all, it may not be processed at all, or that it still might be processed, but it's just not going to be processed until after the deadline? And so I'd like to see a change in that, a minor change in that. Financial reporting, committee, board, or commission shall provide remuneration annually for inclusion in audited financial statements, and I'm wondering why annually? Why not quarterly? Or why not even monthly? The boards are certainly willing and able to provide the information every month, and I'm wondering why there isn't consistency. 10.3 is requiring for professional development opportunities be reported quarterly, and so why would external agencies be any different? So I've made a suggestion for a revision there. Council expense claims may be posted to the town website, and I don't have a problem with it, but I don't know why expense claims are posted. I think the timesheets in their entirety should be posted, and I don't see why it would be any different. If we're looking for transparency, then it should be total transparency and not just part. In the Appendix A, I'm suggesting that it be reverted back to the 5305 top-up, that should be sufficient for most situations where there is a top-up required for standing in where the mayor is unable to attend. And that's the extent of my comments, and it's all provided written. And I must say that I'm a regular member of this committee, and I was unable to attend this meeting.
So a lot of this is personal opinions and hearsay, some of it. But can we just have the revisions you'd like to suggest? If possible, as to your document.
Well, you have the document, so I don't need to reiterate it. I would say that how I would like to approach this is the areas of agreement. In 5.1, I agree with Bill regarding my personal phone and data. I did not allow syncing.
Well, we're going to go through our documents, and then we're going to go around.
Oh, then forget it.
But we'll
Just
go
ahead.
around.
No. Done.
If you'll let me finish, we'll go to everybody's comments, and then we'll go to the sections and see which ones we can all agree to. Instead of going back, once I read mine, then we would have to do that again, so we'll just do it all at once, I believe. Well, I don't believe that, that's what we'll do. So, I'm certainly not going to be as wordy. I'll try to break these down into Cole's notes. The informal duties seems to be a real, there's conflict and contradiction in the document about informal duties. Sometimes you're paid to network and other times you're not. So I think we have to get to the bottom of that. I continue to believe that a professional development plan needs to be submitted. And with the monthly or the yearly, what do we call that? Professional development budget that we're given. I don't believe there's any reason that we can't show at least half of what we're going to register in, because we know at least half of what we're going to register in. And having it, and I'm going to ask Amanda about that later, if that makes more sense for administration as well, and it helps know what the budget is, what you might have left. You might need $500 just to use at the end of the year, if something unexpected, or during the year when something comes up unexpected. I believe we had a good professional development policy in our first term, and I'd like to see something similar, maybe not as, or what we're paid for now. If the mayor goes to meetings like we're appointed to go to the Beyond the Regional Policing Committee, the Regional Policing study that we met with our colleagues with. If I go to meet with Amanda or our CAO with the CAO and CEO of another municipality. So I think just clarification on that. That the ICC prep meetings, it appears that they're not expensible. The one-time top-up, I think, again, 3.2F kind of contradicts it, the one-time top-up, representing the merit event. When we talk about the trade show, and I hope I state my case well here, I'm all for things like going to GRAD, send a message to our volunteer events, to our, not necessarily to our volunteer events, but if we have our own open house, I agree that shouldn't be expensible. But if we go to the trade show, that's not our event. That's a community event put on by an external agency, and I believe we should be able to expense that. It's not a town expectation or organized event. So informal duties, once again, I'm going to talk about the networking. So we're paid to network at conventions, but we're not paid to network in our own community at our own events. I'd like to see 3.3 somewhat amended, shall be applied to the honorarium and per diem rate. unless otherwise resolved by council. I'm just going to look at 3.3 because I've got my pages a little mixed up right now. Yeah, the cost of living adjustment approved by council shall be applied to the honorarium rate and per diem rate. That should, in my opinion, should say that. Unless otherwise resolved by council. COLA, of course, should be applied to all remuneration of council members. It would be unreasonable not to apply that. 3.4, officials in municipalities, and I would like to get on that same train, for lack of a better phrase, that it can be reviewed during the annual budget process. I'm just going to add something in here that is new, but I'm going to speak to it at the end. And the honorarium, the annual professional development allotment is really low, and we're going to be impacting next term's council very negatively by keep maintaining the same honorarium for professional, or the same professional development budget. This year, there's no increase over this year, and what I understand is the mayor will be put back to 6,500 because that was an oversight. And Alberta Municipalities is now in that annual allotment, and it hasn't been for 3 or more years. Been in that annual allotment, so you're busted. And mainly because the annual allotment of AB Munis is now considered in a chunk of that, as is your lodging, or not your lodging, your honorary, your per diem. So in per diems, budget meetings should be part of honorarium. I don't support item 4.5, or alternative representatives are encouraged to attend council meetings, but they're not. It appears that it's taken out of the per diem chart that they're not going to be paid for 2 meetings a year to go to as an alternate to their meetings, which is an important education process of the commissions or boards you're on. So again, 4.5A, alternate representatives need to continue to be paid. 4.6, I'm just wondering why that would be taken out. It might be cross-referenced somewhere else, but cross-referencing gets difficult sometimes. 6.3, Councillor Bill covered that, so then 6.5, that was covered as well in Bill's conversation. And then I believe in item 6.7, it needs to say when hotels are paid for and when they're not, because sometimes they just shouldn't be. And if we're being responsible to our taxpayers, we need to be clear on when hotels should be paid as well. So, professional development, 7.3. Networking and socializing, again, looks like it's paid for if you're at a convention that you get to network and socialize, but you don't get to anywhere else. So I think we need to clear that up. If an afternoon conventions start, I believe that's when we should get there. And a professional development plan, I believe, under 7.4, that's where it could be included in their professional development plan, along with their professional development budget. And I think it would be hard, and I don't, some legal expert on labor would be able to say this, but if somebody goes over in their budget, I think it's really hard to say they have to pay it back. And I wonder if we wouldn't be challenged on that by that specific counselor at the time. I don't know that, but I'd like to have that answer if this does go through. Because budgets, we know, are over and under throughout the budget lines, are over and under throughout the budget of a department, and I don't know why council should be treated any different than any other department, because they're over on some lines and under on other GL entries. And number 8, in thinking about the signage, and I've asked the mayors and signature council expense claims, I believe that administration has the time, or the time tracking, and I believe that somehow the oversight needs to be a good balance. I'll ask for Amanda's comment on that later when we're going through around the table about that. And it is a mix, and I put in my comment, I disagree with it, but at the same time I have been asking other mayors what they're doing, and some do, some don't. Most do sign the forms, and when people, if a mayor ever denies a payment or an expense, the councillor is advised that they can disagree, and if the councillor does disagree, they can bring it to council. And at no time in 7 years, or almost 8 now, when I haven't approved an expense, no councillor has forwarded it on to council. There was one case that we had, but that was cleared up. That's why you looked at me funny. I know that.
Not cleared up yet.
It was.
No, it wasn't.
Well, I think it was, but anyway, so if anybody does disagree and it's still in there, if they disagree with administration or if they disagree with the mayor or the signing authority, they can always bring it to council and council can make that decision. And I don't know if everybody remembers, but we have had a lot of different remuneration policies. And they all had that clause in them to bring it to council. And many of them have had that you have to be approved to be places for expenses to be approved. And if council hasn't approved certain attendance and things, you're not paid for those things. So, when there's references to the mayor not honoring expense claims, there's not one council member that you'll talk to that will say, I didn't tell them that I didn't offer, that they could disagree and then bring it to council. So, having said that, the oversight won't be any different than with a CO, and again, it's not a hill I'll die on about this expensing, but I do take offense to it when people are trying to suggest that I haven't been fair, or that the mayor hasn't been fair on expense claims, because I always talk to the councillor or email or text them. And we do have policies that are all over the place over the years, and I've just followed the policy at the time. I would have liked to have a little more. I put here, I believe that the mayor could have offered insight into the issues and concerns and successes of being the signatory, but no one asked the mayor about what the issues and concerns were and the successes and challenges. So that would have been helpful, I think, and I'll leave it at that right now. Financial reporting. I think financial reporting, Bill referenced this as well, that financial reporting needs to be on boards, commissions as well. And I don't believe there's any reason, if we're going to have, I have no problem with all of our expenses being posted. I don't know why they haven't been. Like, I have no idea. I'm good with that. But I also think that anybody on Mountain View Seniors Housing, and on the Waste Commission, and on the Water Commission has to submit that, because the only reason they're getting that pay is because they're a council member. And it should be, no, the town isn't paying them, but they are getting paid by an external agency to be a council member on a board. So those should be included in the financial reporting. And then I get to the Appendix A, the FPC didn't recommend any revisions to any of the remuneration or professional development budgets. I'm confused if in 2 different places the 265 per day, one of it's stroked out, one of it is still in there. So it is the per diem per day, and we can get to that one there. But with all of these expenses or remunerations and professional development budgets, I really believe that that needs to be sent to council too. I don't believe we should I believe they should be paid more than what we were paid this term. And one thing that happened at our FPC meetings is we have all the documents of all the pay, what everybody makes in a variety of communities, mayors and councillors alike. And I think that can come to the meeting, because everybody would see we're right in the ballpark of average pay. We are not excessively paid, we're not underpaid, we are averagely paid, but next term I believe we should give the benefit to the next council to increase from this or increase from where we're at, because that's not uncommon to apply that in the next term. And then I just asked, informal duties should be a list, and other duties should be a list. So we need to add on the table on page 64, I believe this is it. It's something like this, but it says other duties and informal duties. I think they need to be really pinned down for a good show of what they are, and that's so I will make that once we go through this and then we end. I'd like to have consensus at the end of this too, to bring up to put the budget, the remuneration, and the PD budget to the next council meeting, so that we do address that fairly. And it can't go back to FPC, obviously. So I think that's fair that we would address it just as an agenda item. But that's where I am with that. And so we'll go from there. And what I suggest, I guess, is we'll go through the items. Start with, we're starting at item 1. The definitions, so we could all start at item 1 and then move through the document to see what we can and can't agree on. Oh, jeez. I'm going to open my water bottle.
Water squirted on my keyboard. Is that right?
No.
Once you don't submerge it, you're probably okay.
Your computer's still working? I blew a typewriter. You couldn't do that much. You sprayed Windex in it.
You need one of those cans of air,
Yeah.
blow it all up.
Okay, so
I've got to open my... In item 1, is there anything that anybody noted down that they would like to agree with? Professional development plan is one of them, and informal duties, pinning down what informal duties are and when we're paid for networking and when we're not. And did you have something in section 1, Bill?
The only one I had was the definition of what a regular meeting is and what a regular duty, pardon me, and what's an addition to that. In 2 places it talks about addition to, and in another place it talks about informal, so I think it just needs to be clarified exactly what we're talking about.
So maybe, do you want to start with that answer? Or do you
So
want to start with item 1, Kurt?
I want to start, I think, with item 2.2, because that was the first one that Bill brought up, or Councillor Windsor, and that was compensation for councillors for their duties in addition to those regular duties. And he was suggesting that it say additional duties as opposed to regular duties. His suggestion was to compensate councillors for their assignments in addition to those regular duties. That was his suggestion, and I'm okay with that wording.
okay.
Anyone else? Section 2?
I am okay with that addition as well.
Councillor Baswick?
You're talking about number 1, or you're talking?
No, Kurt jumped to number 2, so
2.2.
I'm okay.
Okay, so I guess for me, overall overview of this is that I think administration did a very thorough and job of putting this policy together. Politely, we can wordsmith this all we want. Some of it's semantics. The only thing I really agree with is, well, I agree with what administration has presented in their package on this policy. Aside from that, I agree with Councilor Windsor on item number 5, which is if you want to check our phones, supply us with a phone. Otherwise, don't get into that conversation. My phone is my private phone. Now, if you want to have something that you can scrutinize, then the town should provide telephones for that purpose. Otherwise, my telephone's my own, whether I use it personal or for business, I try to be effective on that. So, yeah, other than that, I appreciate the effort that administration has done to put this together. It's acceptable to me as it stands. That's my comment.
The committee put it together with like their revisions in there. That's what our committee did, and of course, administration supports that and brings it back. Offers. We start with the original policy, and then the committee does a bunch of work, and then I appreciate administration always putting together what the committees have put together and revised. So, on the other point that I don't know, was that a question about FOIP or just a statement that you made?
Oh, just a statement.
Okay.
Basically, you're going to FOIP a phone, FOIP a town phone. Don't FOIP my phone.
Yes.
Okay, we can probably clear 5.5 up or whatever, 5.1, the one John's talking about. I have no issue with that either. However, should we not also then take internet out? Is our internet FOIPable? So we're paying for internet usage and we're paying for phone usage. Are they both FOIPable? Do we just get rid of it?
Amanda can answer that.
Just to clarify, whether you're getting paid to use your device or not, if you have town records on it, then those can be FOIPed. So whether we pay you for your town phone or not, or for your personal phone. If there's town records, for example, discussing town business within a text message, that record can be FOIPed. Is that right? And it's, yeah. FOIP is not FOIP anymore, but that's besides the point.
Okay.
And so your internet is just a function of giving you a place to do your work. Your internet is not something that FOIPable. It can't be FOIPed. It's what provides you with a connection. But like where you store your town, like your email, and you open that up on a personal device, it doesn't matter where it's stored, but your email are still records of the town. So it could be stored on your personal device, it could be stored on your town paid device, or it could be stored on your town computer, but the records still exist in one location or another.
Kurt has another question.
I was going to make that point that I keep access to email on my phone. They don't have to FOIP my phone to to FOIP my email. Any text I send is personal. If the town office sent me a text, that probably could be FOIPed. But I could send Councillor Windsor a text and ask him about fishing. They can't FOIP that sort of stuff. They can FOIP if the CAO sent me something to do with the town, but they can't take my phone even to FOIP for email because it's already on my email. My phone is just a device that I can read it on.
Okay.
So they're not FOIPing my phone, they're FOIPing my email.
Yeah, we're off topic now.
Yeah.
We're getting
So, but
too deep.
anyway, I have no problem with taking that out either way.
So 5.1 is good.
If I may, I need clarification from me, because right now, for example, I have instructed administration at one point, if there's an email, because I don't look at my laptop every single day. So if you're sending an email out, I want it ported to my phone, all right? So that's where the problem comes in. If I have emails from the town with sensitive information on it coming to my personal phone, it's flavorable. But if I had a town phone, I could port that information to the town phone, leaving my personal phone aside. You know, that's what I was getting at when I was saying supply a phone. And now we'd be out of that dilemma if it should come up. Does that make sense?
Not to me, but
Yeah, it makes sense in the fact that, like, here's my two phones. This is my personal, and this is my work.
Right.
So if somebody wanted to VoIP all of Amanda Riley's emails with the word mayor in them, I would give them my work phone because I don't have work business on my personal phone.
Right.
But let's say I don't have this and I just have my personal phone and I do both personal and business. The FOIP officer, for lack of a better word, would go through my personal phone with you present and say, okay, does this text message to your husband have anything that says the word mayor? Does this text message to your mom, to your brother, to whoever? Oh, here's one to Jocelyn. Does that say anything? Like, then it doesn't mean the records are going to go, but it is a possibility of checking that to see if they exist. But they may not exist. But yeah, that's a whole other.
That's what I mean, or to keep us away from that dilemma. Perhaps in the future, we could say, okay, new councilors will be issued a town phone. That eliminates that.
Yeah, keeps it from your personal work.
Right.
That's what I do.
all right, let's go on then to, I want to cover number one though, because I suggest that we have a professional development plan for number one, and if there are informal duties, then that's throughout, so we don't have to address that now, because when we get the appendix, then we can do that, and I want Amanda to address professional development plans as well, because when we're talking about these budgets, and it's been a hit and miss, because some fairly and rightfully spend the money they have, and some choose not to, and that's fine. So does that matter that we have a professional development plan and that, because we know what our expenses are. They are shown quarterly in our agenda packages, and I can ask any time where I'm at, but what does that do for administration? I want to, I think we were on the right track at the time.
Well, I think a professional development plan would just help us be organized to get everybody registered in what they want to be registered in. And if you're, it would be with the assistance of administration, and they're helping you set like what the budget is for what each event, depending on, like an average hotel price, how many nights you're gonna stay, depending on when the conference is, etc. But and that to me would be important if you are capping the limit on the amount, and especially with the clause that if you go over that limit, you're gonna have to pay for it. So the idea being that you can do as much professional development as you want, but if you're over the limit or the budget set by council, you would just have to pay for the excess. It's not meant to be punitive. It's meant to say you can do more, but you have to pay your own way for more. Or you might spend less on hotels because you want to drive, so you're being more thrifty in a sense. But then that allows you to do extra professional development opportunities compared to somebody who might want to stay in hotels, for an example. But the PD plan is just setting your path for the year, hopefully early in the year, hopefully even before and around budget time, so that administration can get a sense of what to set for the budget, and also give us an opportunity to just plan ahead, book ahead, and keep you on track if it looks like you're going over based on what your plan is, then we can notify each the individual counselor and say, hey, do you realize may happen, you may go over, and so you may want to adjust your spending for the year.
Yeah.
And I don't know many councils that don't have professional development plans, and I think number one, it helps us understand. It keeps administration involved, like our support now with Militia. She does a great job, and if she, right now they're coming sporadic. Okay, this is coming up, that's coming up, I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying, we know what's going on in the year ahead for EOEPs, for AB Munis, for RMA, for FCM. We know what they all are, and that can help set a budget and understand what this council hasn't done much of is share what they're doing and where they're going. And I think that's important for a council to understand where everybody's going, and that you're going to be there at the event and together, and that you plan for that. We have to get a carpooling, things like that are going to help all of that, and they are in the past policies anyway, that we should carpool and be thrifty that way. Yes.
So I have no problem. I'm not. A professional development plan is probably good to help a counselor manage their the budgeted line item so that they don't go over. I think at any time, anyone that gets close to or is afraid that they may go over has the option to bring it to council and say, I'm going to exceed my limit, can I get approval? That's the whole point. It's not saying that nobody can spend more than that amount. It's just that's what your budget is. If you're going to go over it, get approval from council. So I have no problem with someone doing a development plan, and I think if administration in fact is signing off on it, I don't know that that's agreed on, but if that's the way it goes, it gives them a nice blueprint of what is happening, and it does help them, John, or any of you, when you're deciding what to go to. Do you have the money to do it? And if not, are you willing to put in the extra? I have no problem with that.
Well, I'm in agreement. I spoke to it to begin with.
Oh.
Yes, so I'm in agreement with having an economic professional development plan at the beginning of the year, and so that it can be properly budgeted for. I totally support that.
John?
Thank you, Mayor. The only thing, if we can consider the fact that, and I think you just touched on it, the fact that we have a development budget, right? That budget hasn't changed in quite a while. So in the interim, inflation is getting us. You might have had a hotel room 4 years ago for $200. Now it's $350. Now we made adjustments accordingly in that development plan to cover that, so that we don't have to pony up the difference. Because I can guarantee you, anything coming in this next year is going to be far more expensive than it was this last year, just by nature of the inflatable opportunity. I don't know how that works with administration and, or with us, increasing the development budget, but I think it should be.
Yeah, I think at the end of this, like you said, I'd like to see that go back to our next council meeting for our budgets, for the next term, their budgets and per diems and whatnot. So professional development plan, we can put some wording in there then? Did you agree?
No.
Okay,
Can I speak?
yeah.
As much as we've tried this before and it didn't work, I know that one of the things that I would like to have back in, then there's very few of those, is that AUMA for the first year of council. I think it is something that everybody should be able to go to, and they have no idea how much they're going to spend. I would like to see AUMA back in there again, because it is our basic provincial education, and there's so many opportunities there for the education day ahead of it, things that you don't always know ahead of time. I know for me, when I've planned to do various things throughout the year, when we did have that plan, it didn't work out. I had other things that came up in between, and in the meantime, some other things came up that were opportunities that were really pertinent to the things that we were talking about and important, and especially the lawyers thing. Sometimes they're very administrative and it's not something I want to go to. When they say what it is, and it is something that is more in the governance area, I would like to be able to do it. And I'm going to stay within my budget. There's no question about it. So if you have that allocation for my budget, I don't know why there is any question about needing to budget or anything like that. You've got the budget. It's there for me to spend, and it's mine, and I'm hoping it stays mine alone, so that any time during the year I can use my budget. And if it's on the list, then it's approved. If it's not, 7.5 says it goes to council for approval. So we've covered that.
I think we have consensus on professional development plan being in the document. So we have consensus that it would be in there. And I think we get it worded, administration will bring it back with the wording. And, you know, my suggestion here was, and we even did that with our other professional development planning, and I liked it, and it worked for me. So the other part of that is you can leave some for incidentals. And I think that if we could work that into that there's some, you know, you don't have to identify all 4,500 or whatever it is. You might leave a certain amount that you have for incidentals. Amanda?
Can I clarify too, and just hopefully this is the understanding across all of the council members, but let's say you budget for a conference, AB Munis, but you end up not going to it, but you went to RMA instead. I think that even though your plan said one thing, but you did another, that would still be acceptable. It just kind of gives you a pathway at the beginning of the year. And, you know, so if you're doing Brownlee and you go to Brownlee, or you had that on your plan, the lawyer session, but you don't end up going because the agenda isn't pertinent to your role, but you did something else instead, that was a similar day-like session, that would be okay. And so it's a plan, kind of just like the budget, but you don't have to, you can alter what's on the plan throughout the year as time goes on.
Yeah, I think that's a good
I was
observation.
going to ask, and if you need approval for changing it from something you thought you might go to something else, and then you need approval to change it?
No.
Well, I guess that would be a question for all of council. I think in the past when we first came up with the PD plans, it came to council for approval. And so
In the budget.
in the budget process. And so are we still doing an approval process for that, or just the fact you have to have a plan and who does it get submitted to?
It's an individual plan. I don't think we're asking council to approve it. It's that we submit it knowing that we're under our $6,500 or our 45, or within that number. We know what our plan is for the year. And yes, there's going to be anomalies and there's going to be some revisions. And I think that wording needs to reflect that.
And so you're submitting it to the CAO, or is that plan getting published in a council agenda? Like, what is the thought process there?
Well, I think it's in the budgeting, right? You sit down, do your plan, and it's in the budget. And if you've spent all your money, you know that it was further to what you were talking about, that if you spent all your budget, then you have to come to council if something interesting and exciting comes up that you want to go to, and you either have to ask for that permission, and again, that impacts the budget though. And I think if everybody leaves a little bit, I think that you explained it best, Amanda. It helps to guide the year of your planning and what you're going to be doing with that money and where you're going to be, and everybody can, you know, it's a council, council knows what we're all doing. And we plan to do that together, and some of this stuff like AV Munis and RMA, and like I said, this council hasn't really done that in the past while, but I don't know many councils that don't. And it's beneficial for councils to be at these things as a unit. And if we know that 3 other councils are going, we can make a plan. And we can make a budget. You had a comment?
Yeah. This is now becoming very complicated, that we're going to do a plan, but we're going to put in there that you don't have to stick to it, and then you can change it, and then, like, it just, that doesn't make sense to me, that whole part. I said to plan it for the budgeting. I think it has to be an individual plan, and yes, give it to the CAO, put it in the budget, this is your plan, but I think the council should be able to change it at any time without question. I don't want any councillor limited to me choosing what they get to go to and not go to. So
That
as
was-
long as the wording is there and there's no intent that you signed up for something and you're going to change it, you should just be able to just go and change it. So it has to reflect that in the wording.
And that's what we discussed. So no one's here to approve your plan. It's to have that plan submitted to the CO for our budget. And there was even, our CO, is he going to the events? Right? Like, a lot of times we didn't know, but, and not that I'm out, we get his plan, but I just think it's accountability and transparent, and here's what we're doing. And, if you spend all your money on an FCM event for 1 year, then that's what you get. And you're not going anywhere else, and you should pay your way. But it helps you plan that year. So if we put the wording in, we're not there for approvals, we're there for plans and budgets.
There's nothing wrong with that, but yeah, I don't want all the other.
No. Okay, can we move on to, we got through 1 and 2 and 3. Sorry. Yes?
I'm looking now and I'm seeing that the regular duties are defined or used as a term throughout this document. I'm wondering if it shouldn't be in the definitions as to what exactly it is.
And informal duties.
Yeah. The informal duties are there. It needs. I think regular duties need to be there as well.
Okay. What page you on? Oh, in the definitions.
The definition
Yeah.
is number 1.
Yep. I know, but I'm just following up on regular duties. What were you after then for that?
Well, I think
Do
it
you
should-
have a list?
Well, we have what it says is informal duties, any event, networking, and community and members. So what is a regular duty? And regular duty is probably what's defined in the MGA.
Dorothy has a question, and then Amanda.
It's not a question. Actually, general duties of councillors is defined in 153 of the MGA. So if you, and then general duties of the chief elected official, it's the whole 153 section. So if you want to have, you could just put MGA 153 in there and you got them.
Okay, so add that definition then. Amanda, do you have a comment?
Yeah, so our intent, the reason it wasn't defined is because the intention was regular duties was anything to be covered by what was called the honorarium. And defined in 3.2, they're all listed out. So that was the original intent of this policy. But we could...
Well,
So should it say honorary participation in regular duties as follows?
no.
You say that's what regular duties are under 3.2.
I think the term general duties came up. We're trying to define regular duties, and anything that's a regular duty, the way I'm reading some of this questioning is that falls within the honorarium. But sometimes regular duties are meetings that are called, they probably don't need to be, they could be done in regular work hours. So I think it needs to be defined as general duties. I'm not going to get this hung up in wording where you're talking about people should earn more money, but we're going to call 4 budget meetings, and you're going to come out on full Saturdays and Sundays, and I know I'm off topic here, but it's in the wording, and define it as a regular duty. It is a regular duty. Regular duties don't mean that you don't get paid for them when it's outside of regular work hours. So you're opening up a whole other can of worms by doing that, and we're kind of jumping here. We need to go through them point by point. So
Well, we're back.
is it defined, did you say, as general duties in the MGA?
Amanda, you were going to say something?
Well, in MGA section 153, it's pretty vague. Like,
Yeah.
for example, to obtain
It is.
information about the operation or administration of the municipality. Or to keep confidence matters discussed in private at a council meeting. So I think, like, I understand those are council's duties as defined in the MGA, but I think it's different than what's defined in this policy.
Yeah.
And that's why we're trying to keep it not defined and explain it within each section. Honorarium, these are the duties an honorarium is paying for. And so perhaps where regular duties is throughout the policy, we might need to change that rather than try to define it, because that's kind of, we're trying to explain it throughout the policy rather than have a definition of regular duties.
But knowing how many policies we've been through for remuneration and professional development in 8 years, there's obviously some clarification needed on things, because that's where we're at. And that's why we got here to change some of these things, is because what happened in the past 6 months again too. So
Yeah. Well, for example, in section 2.2, it says the honorarium shall be used to compensate councillors for their regular duties. So
Mhm.
instead of that, we can say for the duties outlined in 3.2.
mhm.
Yep.
That's, yeah.
And then there's no question about what exactly is your regular duty. If it's
Right.
not defined in there,
Yeah, I like that.
Carrying on. Mayor Hunter, carrying on.
Along with that, the second part of that then could be referencing, is it 4.2? 4.1. So the second part of that, 2.2, would then, the per diem shall be used to compensate councillors for duties outlined in 4.1. So that it takes that completely out of the picture.
yeah.
Okay, you all good with that?
I'm good with that.
And then item 3.3, I suggested that shall be applied to the honorarium and per diem rate in 3.3.
Mayor, could we that section is specifically about honorarium? So maybe we can add that as a general principle instead.
Okay. Oh,
Like, move it to 2.4, any cost of living adjustment approved by council should be applied to honorarium and per diem, if that's the consensus.
so do you agree with that?
I don't disagree with it, but
Yeah, I don't,
I'm
no
fine.
feeling one way or another.
Well, if you're not applying it to per diem, it's pretty
So
specific.
I then would disagree with it, because I'm not going to disagree with it.
Yeah, because it will get to that black and white thing,
No,
right?
that's,
Okay.
I'm fine with it being worded that way.
Okay. And then I did put in 3.3, sorry. I was talking about it should be, no, I'm at a different spot. So let's move on then. Are we good with 3? Item 4.
The only thing we changed in 3 then was to move 3.3 up to 2.4, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Well, I think. Did we miss, wasn't there a comment about changing it to stipend rather than honorarium? Is that one?
There should be something changed.
Yeah, honorarium, we just use it because it always was the word we use in our policy. Technically, an honorarium is more like a one-time payment, where a stipend is more regular. So if council wants to see that change, I think he would be more
I'm okay with that.
accurate.
I am too.
That would be universal.
I think that's what the fire department is, isn't it? A statement.
I just have one suggestion though too, under our honorarium 3.2, 3.2H. I'm just cross-referencing my comments because town open houses, public hearings, because I still think that the trade show is an external event, and if we just specify 3.2, the town hosted or whatever, open houses, public hearings, because the open house, I get that as a town event, but I don't get the trade show, that it's external. So I'm just asking council if we put the word town hosted open houses. Go ahead.
So again, because I think whatever event comes up, council can say,
Right.
as a motion to pay for it or not, we're just trying to keep it simple. That the policy, I think.
Yeah, they can make the motion, but I guess to be clear somewhere, that's all.
Yeah.
As long as everybody understands that, I'm fine with that.
Again, I'm irrelevant to it. I'm the wrong guy to ask because I think there's a lot of things that we shouldn't get paid for. But that being said, it's a will of council. So that one, I have attended those things and not charged for them. That's just me. That doesn't make it right or wrong, and maybe they should be paid for it. So
Yeah, that's fine.
I will go with whatever
Mhm.
the group decides.
Well, it's not a hill to die on. If council, if we want to make a motion that that's paid for, then
Yeah.
they'll make that motion. Thanks,
Uh,
yep.
Question regarding the trade fair though. If we get a shift that's there, and I would think that that would be the only thing that would be paid for then, and not, if you're gonna go hang out there for a couple of days, I don't think you should get paid for all the time that you're there. If you sign up for a shift in the booth, I think, but that's, in a way, it's an administrative thing, but I'm just hoping that that doesn't get to be really expensive item where people are cleaning several days.
It was always paid until this year. And because it was external and generally more than one council member takes a shift too, and this year that didn't happen. So I think the council today can decide that. I'm fine with the trade show just being a motion, and however they deal with it's up to them. Do you have something to say, Amanda?
I just thought letter F would be more like where it says attending public events in an official capacity. I think that would be where the trade show is
Mm-hmm.
referenced,
Yeah.
and then here it's excluding it, but I mean, we could add a clause that says unless otherwise approved by, well, that's in 4H, so I think you're fine either way.
Yeah, I think, we'll carry on from that. Okay, I don't think there's anything else. Oh, I know what it is. Yes, it is in here, 3.5, to retain the statement that the honoraria should be reviewed during the annual budget process. In 3.5. 3.2. I think it really
Actually-
needs to be.
In number 9, that's already covered. 9.1. Oh, you want an annual. The appendix is reviewed during the budget process in 9.2. So the appendix is where you're talking about honoraries and reviews, isn't it?
I don't know why it's taken out as my point.
Oh, it's not, it's in 9.2.
The review of the compensation is done, it's annual,
one it is.
All right, let's move on then. Good. So item 4.
4.1 will have.
Yeah, budget meetings. So you're talking about, so we are in the, are there anything that anybody wrote down that they would agree to? I don't really want to go through this line by line. Look at number 4, and is there anything that anybody would like to, we all listen to that. So what did anybody write down that they agreed to? Yes.
So I agree with A through H. And steed of the mayor, definition is in place of or as substitute or on behalf of. So I think the word is fine.
Yes, it is.
It's just someone that is in place of the mayor. If the mayor can't be there, it's so I'm okay with that word. That was one of Bill's and 4.1. I think that was one of his questions in there was the word steed. In the steed of or stead of mayor.
Okay. And then budget meetings being part of the honorarium. Any agreement there? Removing the alternate representatives, getting paid for 2 meetings a year. I believe that needs to stay on that appendix.
I think if they want to go, they can go, but I don't think we should be paying for 2 people at a meeting.
Just twice a year. It's been our policy forever, for 8 years, and I don't know why we take it out. I support it being put back in, or remaining in, not put back in, just remaining. Councilor Bowser?
I'm just thinking if the appointed person goes, they get paid. If they cannot go and the alternative goes, the alternative get paid. They both don't attend. Like if you, as an alternative, want to attend the meeting, you can sit there quietly and just listen. But that's up to you. We already have a representative there. There's no point in the alternative being there, in my point of view.
It's experience and exposure to the committee, I guess. That's my... Anyone else? We have 2 no's over here, so...
Well, I think it's really valuable to have a background in the committees. I think that as an alternate, it's to the town's advantage to have you at least familiar with the people that are there and what the discussion is. I think going in blindsided to make decisions on behalf of the town without ever having been there before is probably doing a disservice to the town. So I think I would like to see it reinstated. I don't see why we would have it out. I think that for the small, minor cost that it is for an alternate to go and attend a meeting, it's well worth it. Especially when you're thinking of the commissions, where the town is paying for theirs through the user fees, and not paying the primary representative anyway. So I think it's a huge value to have the alternate at least aware of what's going on in the community.
Any comments?
I agree that it's very valuable that they go, but they're just going to watch it. And I don't think that we should be paying 2 representatives at the same meeting. So I don't think it should be there.
In reference to Councilor Bill's comment, we have a representative, for example, Bill's at the Water Commission. Doesn't matter who the alternate is, because Bill reports, the alternate hears and sees the report. They're up to speed with what's going on. They should be anyway if they are an alternate. So having them there is duplicating the service, which is, to me, not necessary.
Anything else in 4?
I'm good with A through H.
Go ahead.
So thank you, Mayor Hunter. 4.1E, meetings attendance and instead of the mayor, fine instead, whatever. where does the step up come in that?
The what?
The step up?
What's that?
Because on Appendix A, it talks about the step up for sitting in for the mayor. And so I'm wondering what I'm not understanding. So I guess I'm asking, so if a councillor, deputy mayor, steps in for the mayor because she's away from a council meeting, is he getting hourly pay for those 4 hours? That doesn't make any sense.
No.
Yes.
Amanda and then Kurt.
Yes, so, the difference between this and the previous, policy is the 5305 for a tenant, or, can't remember what it's called, but acting pay for mayor was removed, and now you're getting paid an hourly rate for acting in place of the mayor. So for example, if the deputy mayor was called in to run a meeting in place of the mayor, and the meeting was 4 hours, they would get 4 times the $38.73 for attending, and they wouldn't get $53.05. The difference is if they're called in to attend in the official capacity at an event for the mayor, let's say grad, or no, I don't know, something that's like a half an hour meeting, they would get paid for a half an hour of $38.73, not $53.05. The idea is that the mayor is getting a monthly amount that's higher than the councillors. So the councillor stepping in, or the deputy mayor stepping in, is getting paid the hourly rate because the mayor has a higher monthly honorarium. So, stipend.
But can I just suggest though,
That's the idea.
that PGC shouldn't be dealing with remuneration. That shouldn't have been changed, so that's part of what I'm asking to bring back to the council meeting. And I think if everybody writes down what a mayor actually does for the money they get, it isn't $40 an hour. So that's where I have an issue with that, and I think any mayor. So I'd like to see that deferred to what FBC should have dealt with, it's remuneration and professional development and the budget in general. So we might be wasting time on this if we can send it to the council meeting, because it shouldn't have been dealt with. Kurt and then Bill.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is that that was not the intent, and it was not ever an intent to make it sound like the mayor only should get $40 an hour. There was none of that involved in any of the conversation. However, I do agree that it was a change financially, and that shouldn't be handled by policy and governance. So it probably, at this point, should just remain as what it was. I have no issue with that. That is one of the things that should not have been changed, and policy and governance, in their exuberance, went ahead and did that. So I have no problem just leaving that where it was. I don't need anything brought back on that. I don't, but
Okay.
don't know what the rest are.
Bill? Thanks.
So if we're going back to that then, and I got a couple of comments. So let's supposing that the mayor is away for a month. Supposing something happens, she's away for a month, and the deputy mayor is stepping in, then he could conceivably get paid more on an hourly rate than what the mayor would make in a month.
And when we talked about this, there was up to a maximum of what the mayor.
That's not what it says here.
Well, when we talked about it, that was the intent. So if that's not in there, that was a miss.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we did discuss that specifically, the same concern, and we said no, it would never go over what the mayor's stipend was for the month.
So I appreciate that we would go back then to what was original, that Appendix A that was from before. I appreciate that.
Just a flopper.
I'm just wondering now where that falls with that 4.1E. Because right now it says you're going to get paid
Yeah.
you're gonna get paid for your attendance, not the step-up, which is what the old Appendix A was.
But I think if appendix
They said that the step up is the pay, then that would be covered in here. You would get paid the step up. You wouldn't get paid an hourly.
But the 4.1, the heading says that you're gonna get an hourly per diem rate.
Yeah, that just has to be changed, that's all.
So maybe just take out the,
Yeah.
Because that is identified.
in the appendix.
Well, and just to note, we're adding it to the general principles because we don't want the only place in the policy to explain that to be the appendix. We want it written in the actual policy. And then the amount would be into Schedule A. And so, and then that being said, would the top-up amount also qualify for the COLA?
Well, I think when we bring back, yes,
Okay,
I
so
think
can
any,
you add that to 2.4?
and if this comes back, I think council has to seriously look at applying a COLA or an adjustment to next year. Or next term, sorry. But, so you want what section was that around about the COLA?
2.4 now.
Yeah, so add that in there.
Yeah, Jocelyn, and the track changes are, we're showing the changes live here.
Oh, look at you guys go. I should have known that, I haven't looked up there.
Oh, sorry.
Thanks for that. All right, so anything else in 4 and 4.6?
I think,
Section 5 we covered, do you have something in section 4?
yeah, I think 4.5, Bill's or Councillor Windsor had a question. What happened to item 4.5 from the previous version of this policy?
Mhm.
Oh, we were just talking about that,
Yeah.
sorry. Sorry, we got back here and I'm just trying to
That's
follow
okay,
this
yeah.
through in order, so I apologize. That's
Is there anything
dealt
else
with.
you want to address, Bill, or is it
Well,
in 5?
I have to look at the professional development section now to see if it is, if they're compensated as per diem rate. It doesn't say so, does it?
No.
Members shall be compensated full day. No, it doesn't say that it's going to be compensated with full rate. So maybe that replaces key.
Well,
I'm not sure whether it goes there or whether it goes under professional development.
Do we have an answer to that, or was that a question?
It says 7.3 says council members shall be compensated for full day per diem rate for attendance at PDO from the date of the PDO commences to the date at which it concludes. And I guess I don't agree with that. So I guess we'll talk about that when we get there.
Yeah, and the only other one is, okay, so 4 we're good with, 5 we covered, I believe.
So what's 5 going to say to them?
That's about the phones, right?
Yeah,
well, we can just go back to internet.
yeah, I would like to just, you don't even pay for half of my internet, my Wi-Fi, and Wi-Fi is essential, so I didn't have it before, you didn't like it. So that's all you're paying for. I don't want you messing with anything that is mine personally, or saying that you're participating in it.
So
Okay.
we're good with 5?
No? Well, he was just looking at me. I didn't know if he was going to hit me.
Okay, item 6. I think gratuities are in there, and Councilor Bill has that in there. And then clarifying what hotels are paid for, because that isn't covered anywhere. Unless you have an answer to that you guys discussed that.
Well, I think hotels would be covered when you travel. You shouldn't just be able to go rent a hotel. So if you're going to a conference and you have to stay overnight, the hotel should be covered. If someone were to go drive up earlier and take a hotel, then that would come off their budget line. They would be using up their budget. So that's up to them.
I think it needs to be stated in here, though.
The-
I understand that, Kurt.
Yeah,
I just think it needs to be stated.
Parking is actually kind of in here before that. Again, I would assume that the parking, we didn't have the words in there.
That's
Um,
insanity.
I thought that's in 6,
It's in a couple of places.
Oh, sorry.
3 times. Come on.
It's, okay, it's in both.
So again, I don't mind having parking in there. I don't think that we can, I don't know how we word it to accommodate any incidental. I don't know what incidentals will ever come up. But that should be obviously covered. If it's a legitimate expense, it should be covered. So I have no problem with that. Yeah, parking, if you have to park your car and it costs you money, you should be able to claim that.
So what if there's, and I've seen this happen, somebody parks for $20 and 2 others park for $45 a night. I think, is there somewhere in here that it talks about being prudent and making sure that if you're carpooling or if you're paying the nightly, looking for the best parking rate, doesn't mean you're going to be 5 blocks away. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that when I was in Calgary one time, it was all indoors getting to the hotel I was going to. It was $20 a day, and other council members parked for $45. So I think we need to be, and maybe that's something our administrative team does for us, is find that parking so that they know where the $20 parking is that keeps us all warm when we go out to the hotel. But we had a statement in our policy before about being prudent with carpooling and trying to make the best of everything, parking, hotels, whatever it might be. And experiences show us that it is different. And I don't know how to deal with that, and I don't want to belabor it, but I guess I'm not going to die on that hill about hotels, but at the same time, there's some things that I think that we just need to be more responsible with, and I guess they'll experience that next term too. Amanda?
We could add a statement to the policy statement section regarding prudent spending, responsible spending, finding or doing things like carpooling whenever possible,
Mm-hmm.
just as a general philosophy,
Yeah.
if that's council's
I think
wish.
we've had that in there in the past, is why I
know it's in the travel and expense policy for
Yeah,
staff.
and maybe just transfer that over into our policy, because I don't think we should be any different with that.
And it's kind of open to interpretation and and depending on the circumstance. So
Yep.
it's hard to write into policy every situation where it might be bad roads, so you decide to take the hotel the night before. And under normal circumstances, you would have
Yeah.
came up to the hotel the day of. So a policy statement might help, and then it'll at least have councillors consider that
Yeah.
when they're traveling.
Does everybody agree with that, a blanket statement? Councillor Farrell. John?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll run this by you and see what you think, all right? I have a development fund, which I can spend, okay? So instead of saying, oh, you can only do $20 parking, or you can only give a 5% gratuity, and you've got to be there on Sundays, and you can't go there a day ahead, it doesn't matter. When I go to a conference, if I'm a day early, day late, I bring all my expenses back. It comes off of my development fund. Don't get picky about it. If I've spent too much of my development fund, which is still in the development fund, that's my problem. That means I have less to spend on the next conference I'm going to go to. But to start saying that, well, you picked a hotel room that was $40 more, or you picked parking that was $45 more, it doesn't even enter into the process. The conference is what it is For you to tell me, well, you were only there for 2 hours instead of 4 hours, it doesn't matter. I want the daily rate. It comes out of my development fund. And if the development fund is now diminished by that amount, that means I can't go to something else. But to start going through all these line-by-line things, you drive people crazy, including administration. Whoa, John spent $40 and they give a 25% thing. That's not acceptable. Yeah, it is, because it comes off the top of the basic fund I have to work with. So
John,
don't,
that's where we just got, though, just that blanket statement.
what's that?
We just got to the blanket statement, so that's where we resolved that.
I hope that's covered, so we don't start getting picky about when did they earn or only did a half a day and all that kind of nonsense. You've got a budget. You put in your expenses.
All right,
They should be accepted. And if they're not accepted, then don't do it. So,
okay, are we on to 7? We're done with
Are
7?
you good, though? You have watched
And then I
it.
think we should add about other travel expenses such as parking, like that's something that would be
Mhm.
claimed.
it doesn't matter.
No, I mean about
It's not
allowing
included
the
in the
expense.
document.
It doesn't matter what you allow.
Councillor Bassett, we're going to go around the table, that's your opinion, and that's fine. But suggestion is that parking be added as a expensible item, so it's just a word. And is that what your intent is, just to get parking in there somewhere? Because it's not mentioned that we'll cover parking. So we mention that we cover parking like it says up there, then it's covered. Is everybody good with that statement up there?
Yeah, we can go in there.
Yeah, I'm okay with adding parking because that is a normal expense.
All right, anything else in 7?
Number 6.
Sorry, 6.
Here's the word here.
So, 6.3,
If I may, 6.3, I'm wondering why we're identifying it as meals. I think any expense is paid by another person.
I don't even know what you mean by that. I guess I'm confused on that statement. No expenses for meal paid for any person? Like, I don't think we do that. If the only person that pays for other people is generally, but like sometimes I pay for other councillors' expenses with the town credit card, but that's other people. It's coverable, but I'm not going to pay for somebody else without council approval with the credit card. So they say take a man out for lunch, then I will. It's a motion.
That's what it's saying, is all.
Yeah,
It's just clarifying that.
right. But it's that, and I don't know what your point is. I guess that's my question. What's your point?
He just wants to be all expenses.
Yeah, I don't see why it's just why for meals. Like, could be parking, could be hotel, could be airplane. I mean, I don't know. I don't think any expense paid by another person should be covered by the town.
Okay, so that's covered.
As
Good.
being
Everybody good
claimable. I
with
don't
that?
think anybody should, any expense should be.
Take meals, though.
Yeah.
Is everybody good with that cross out up there then?
Yes,
Yes.
So that covers that?
yeah, see up there? 6.3.
And then 6.5, Amanda, you had something to say?
Sorry, I think going back to the parking, there's other travel expenses that are excluded too. So maybe we can say 6.1. Well, traveling on town business, travel expenses, or including, for example, meals, parking, flights, taxis, etc., may be claimed.
Just add anything in there.
Well, we're
that's
missing,
common.
like, if you took a flight or if you're taking a taxi
I know.
or Airbnb.
Yeah, no,
So it's like
we wouldn't be
travel
paying
expenses
that.
can be claimed.
And,
Legitimate
Was the
travel
intent.
expenses.
and it already covers that you're gonna make those arrangements, but you wouldn't make them for a taxi. But the other things that we were talking about, like flights and hotels, would already be taken care of.
Yeah.
All right, can we What are we at next? Councillor Windsor?
Next one was 20%.
Yeah. But personally, I think that's clear, is 20% can be expensed. And if you pay them, give them 30, that's up to you.
It doesn't say you can't give them.
Right,
more, but
it just
you
says
can't
20%
spend
will be
it.
covered.
Up to.
And then,
Yeah, but it doesn't say that that's the maximum, like it says that the maximum you can give is 20%.
Yeah.
And then what it should say is that the maximum that's expensive.
but they're directing you as a council member, not as a person. This directs us as council members. So as a council member, I can only give 20%.
Yeah, this is a.
That's what I interpret.
As a council member, I can give 25%, but I can only claim 20% on the expense claim.
So I don't want to get stuck on this one.
Can we just, because these are expensible, just talk about what's expensible as a general
Yes.
concept.
So, 6.6, I would think it's fine that, I think RCO, I agree with the word direct, but I think they're interchangeable, and we understand the intent of it. If who would like to change to direct his
It's
staff?
fine either way.
Like, I think it means the same thing.
Yeah.
I understand what your point is, but I want to get moving through this. So, sorry. Professional development, used to manage expenses related to PDOs as follows. And we covered parking, and then AB Muni should be listed in there, and FCM and RMA.
Oh,
But
just on that, like the county doesn't let everybody go to SEM every year. And we used to have it where people could go twice during their term as a maximum. FCM isn't a given, I don't think, for every councillor every year. It's about $5,000 a person. It adds up a lot. So there goes your budget. I would like to see it, AOMA on there, but I think things outside of our province don't need to be.
we had that in our professional development plan at one point, but it got rescinded, that plan, or that policy. So I think, again, back to kind of John's comments there, that whatever we spend our money on, if I want to go to FCM 4 times, then I can go to that, and I can't go to anything else,
Right?
right? My
That's okay.
comment?
Yeah, that's
I
okay.
agree, like, if you spend your money, you spend it.
Mhm.
Exactly.
But everybody will know when I'm budgeting for it, that that's what I plan to do with it.
Yeah.
Anything else in there, Bill, that,
Yeah, there's 7.3.
okay?
That I don't think you should be compensated full rate for a conference or a session that only takes 3 hours.
Yeah, I know Red Deer, like it was, 2.5 hours and then 45 minutes each way home, so
I don't think you should get the full day rate for that.
what do you think? I'm gonna go around on this one quick.
Well, if it were me, I wouldn't claim for the full day rate. I would just claim for the 2 hours I was there, because that would leave me more money. But if someone stayed for 2 hours and mingled and met people, networked or whatever, and they choose to spend that money on that again, we're nitpicking here, and so use your money up on that. I would only claim that, but
Policy says, what it says is the members shall be compensated, not may. It says shall be.
Okay,
yeah, and that's fine, Bill.
let's
I would simply put in my 2 hours. I would reduce it because I would want money to go somewhere else.
can we change it to May? If the council wants to use the money
Yeah.
for the full day, then they use it. If they don't, they don't.
Yeah, maybe we take care of it.
Does that satisfy that? That's 7.3?
Well, if somebody didn't arbitrarily cut it.
It shall. Yeah.
So it's me.
Claim it.
May. So that was 7 point. Where you at?
3. That was 7.3.
Yeah. So what's the next?
4.5.
Well, we should.
Mayor, we should allow for the hourly too then,
Yeah,
Oh,
alternatively.
yes.
right.
Yeah, just to be clear,
Yeah,
that you may be
For
the
our,
full day rate or for your per diem, per your hourly rate.
yeah.
Thanks for that.
Well,
yeah.
the point, I mean, we said from the date that the educational component begins.
Okay, that's up there, is that good? And then we have 7.5.
Yeah, the Mayor, just the way it's worded, it's for consideration and approvals. It suggests that it's automatic that the approval is going to be given. I think you could remove the approval part and just have for consideration.
Yeah,
But what if I read that then there's no approval, we're only going to consider it, and that's where we sit?
for consideration of approval.
Of would be a better
Just a
word.
simple word, and it fixes it.
That's fun.
I know you love this, John.
Yes.
Yeah.
But those have to be worded.
Semantics.
Well, semantics can save us too, so 7.6.
Well, I like this is punitive. I think that it seems to me that we should be preventing it rather than penalizing somebody for it. I think that if administration is following this, is monitoring what's going on, we have a plan and what's going on, and they say, okay, so hey, if you go over this amount that you're going to have to pay for it, then it doesn't necessarily have to come out of their honorarium. I think that we should be working at proactively, not.
I think we settled it with the professional development plan and budgeting. I think that'll help.
Okay.
And I think if the council of the day needs to review it, they will.
Yeah, I don't, it's not meant to be punitive, it's meant that if someone feels they're going to go over their budget, get approval. No one has to be punished. It just has to be approved because a budget is made. And if we are doing a road and we budget $100,000 and they're going to come in at 110, they come to us for approval, that's all. Doesn't mean the road won't get done. Same thing, it's not a punishment thing. Development, like Mayor Hunter said, if you're putting in a plan and you're working with administration, which is what you should be doing to stay within it, then yeah, you could put by honorarium or take it out of the bank, however they want to pay it. But you shouldn't be paying more unless it's approved by council. That's what was intended there.
Yeah, and I had the same comments, but I think that budgeting, having a plan is going to help that.
I don't disagree that it'll help, and that's not the point. The point is that it says in the policy, it will be deducted from the monthly honorarium. That's cut and dry. You don't have a choice. And that's my problem here, is that it needs to be something other than that cut dry.
If you don't have approval, it'll be deducted. If you don't have council approval, it'll be deducted.
But it shouldn't even be off, like it's,
Well, then it could say must be paid for by the council.
and the councillor can decide how it's paid.
Doesn't have to come off their honorarium, they can write a check, they can do what it doesn't. Again, what you're saying there is that that's the only avenue, if they want to pay for it, do. They have to pay for it somehow.
There's only
Yeah, they could still.
one option that cannot happen, and that can't be that the council impose it. Like, they either gotta pay for it, it comes off the honorarium, and I think within the MGA, you can't be owing municipality money.
So it just needs that if they go over, it must be paid for.
And I don't have a problem, if you haven't paid it, then it's gonna come off your honorarium.
Amanda?
Would council at least be okay with it reducing their per diem amount? So let's say you went to a conference that put you over, so then we don't pay you for your daily per diem to reduce it back rather than the honorarium portion. the
I
stipend.
don't care.
If you want to go through the
But
county.
then you're owing.
Yeah.
Or they can have prepaid it, like if they paid it themselves up in advance.
I think we're overthinking it now that we have our budgets and our professional development plan, and if we get to that point, then I think it needs to be addressed.
Well, and then, like, our purpose is to be helping council all the way
Yeah.
through and communicating. So it's not gonna be a surprise that you went over.
No, I think,
It's
Yeah.
just that we do wanna take a strong stance on it
Yeah,
if that happens, and not be left with an amount owing, which is hard to collect. Let's say in December.
yeah,
Yeah, so I think the policy
The
can
month before
simply
the
state
election.
must be paid by the counselor. However they want to pay it is fine. They could come to you and say, take it off my honorarium, take it off my, but it just must be paid. Is that?
I think we've got 11 minutes till we start another meeting, and I think if we left it the way it is, if it becomes a problem, it has to get dealt with. It's a policy that can come back to the next meeting if there's an issue. Because it's taken a long time on this one. If everybody can agree to that and live with, some things we just have to live with for a while, and if they work, that's great, and if they don't,
hopefully we never get to
Yeah.
it, just approval.
yeah. 8. Oh, is there anything else in 7?
I'm okay with Councilor Windsor's suggestion.
What?
7.7?
Yep.
Yeah.
What about?
Submitting a report.
So that's what we're doing now, yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with what he's suggesting.
Yeah. John? Good with that? Anything 7.8? Yeah, that's,
Just remove that. It's not, it's
Yeah.
irrelevant.
yeah,
Any carryover, anything at the end of the year is into the surplus of that year.
yeah.
Doesn't matter.
No,
So just
but
remove that from the surplus.
Yeah.
was there anybody that thinks it carries over into the next year if you have surplus?
Well, it just shouldn't be there, because why, it's not a thing.
Like, we were just trying to ensure that if it wasn't spent, it was accounted for
Good.
in surplus. That was really the intent.
Well,
Yeah.
I'd like to see
The
it
intent-
save some money.
actually, I think the intent was if a counselor went over in year 1, but under in year 2, they can't net the 2 years
Yeah.
and not pay.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the intent of that.
Mhm.
Rather, it didn't have to do with like
I
the
don't think it's
county's-
harmful staying there. It doesn't hurt it or help it. Like, everybody agree? Just to leave
Yes.
it. Okay, and then item 8. Haven't dealt with all the expense claims. It's not a hill I want to die on. Like, I think it's worth a try. And I understand the philosophy, and we all agreed to not charge for CAO things, meetings except interviews, but one counselor did. I'm not going to die on that hill anymore. And it's easier just to, next year, if it's in their expense claim and they've used that money for that, then so be it. Because everybody agrees that they have their money, you put in a plan, and you spend it. Kurt?
Yeah, I agree that admin would only approve this based on policy. They would look at the policy. If it falls outside of the policy, then they would send it back for approval.
They
Say,
track
we can't
the
approve
hours.
this.
And they track the hours, and like I said, I've called some mayors, and it's more that mayors do sign it, but there's some that don't too. And if it becomes a real problem, then it's dealt with, and it can come back to council. But I think battling with councillors on things that aren't expensible would be easier for Amanda to do. And if they're not expensible, they'll just be told they're not and not argue with them. Go ahead.
And just to clarify, the administrative adjustments that are outlined in this section, that's not That's in no way an approval. So we're not, administration is not approving it, we're just checking it for completeness and accuracy to the extent that we can. So if we know that you were in a meeting for 2 hours and somebody claimed 3, we'd make an adjustment to 2 and explain to them. The meeting
Yeah,
was from this
It's
time to
only
this
2
time.
hours, yeah.
So that's all we're doing.
yeah. And it seems if I, like, sometimes, like, you know, get pushed back and rude comments, so I think it's worth a try,
And
and it might be very successful.
And then posting it publicly, like that's kind of the you're kind of doing that transparency. That's the process where the public can look at it and say
Yeah,
if something's within or not within and provide their feedback on that. It's irresponsible to the public because now they're seeing all the claims. That was the intention of that.
so everybody agrees with this?
Just 8.3, because there's nothing says that the administration is going to talk back to the claimant to say that there was an adjustment made.
The same clause should be in there that,
Yeah.
isn't it? That if the councillor disagrees, they can bring it to council. That's what they can do right now, but don't.
Yeah, well, that's 8.5.
Yeah,
Any dispute over the suitability.
right. It
I
is in
agree,
there.
we can add in 8.3, if there is an adjustment made, administration will communicate that to the council member.
And that's for consideration of approval.
On 8.5.
But they're not approving.
I know what council would consider
Exactly.
8.5 instead of and.
to approve it, but they don't have to.
Be just consideration. Then, once it's considered, we can either approve it or not. But we don't have to approve it, should be automatic, do it, Bill.
Any changes.
Oh, this is only
Will be
about the
communicated.
dispute.
Fine. To me, anyway,
Yeah, either put up for consideration of approval or just for consideration. What do you got up there?
8.5.
Which will be communicated.
for me, I'd end it at consideration.
Yeah, I don't think, it's fine either way. I'm good with that.
I understand that. I hope everyone else understands it as consideration of approval.
Yeah,
Fine, either way.
Good?
So 8.6 for me, maybe process the next pay period. Might it not be?
okay. And you know what? I'm gonna stop the meeting here and we're gonna bring what's left back to council meeting because there's only a small amount of items and we've got 3 minutes left to move consensus forward to bring back those changes, bring back item whatever's outstanding, 8.6, item 10. Is there any for 9? I don't see any for 9.
No.
Okay, so just for 8 and 10, for the regular council meeting, we have consensus on the revisions we've made to forward them to the council meeting and to let 8 and 10 come back to the council meeting. Do we have consensus on that?
How come we have a restriction on timing? Why can't
Because we have a 7 o'clock meeting, special council meeting. And I also want to bring back I would like consensus to bring back the remuneration for council for consideration of any adjustments for the next term.
Start over there, not me.
Would anybody like
Yes.
bring it back for consideration of adjustments to the next term? And I think if everybody listened earlier that AB Munis wasn't included in prior, the spring caucus, the summer AB Munis, that wasn't included in our 4,500, it was on top of that. So can we bring all this back for discussion on the remuneration part? For any adjustments that are needed around the table. Councillor Baswick?
I guess.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't want to see it again.
Okay, we have consensus, so let's just bring it back for consideration of the compensation and COLA adjustments perhaps, and not leaving next term's council less than, and that's discussion. Okay, so we have that, and then I have consensus to adjourn at 6:59.
I move that we adjourn.
You don't need to move, we just need consensus. No, I'm not accepting it. Okay, so you can move these sheets off your desk.